Interesting news coming out of Ontario today. The Premier, Doug Ford, directs the LCBO to go back to using single-use paper bags. Now, for those that are less aware, the LCBO is the Liquor Control Board of Ontario, our liquor store here in the province of Ontario. And prior to September of last year, you could go to the LCBO and they would provide you with a paper bag for your goods. A paper bag, not a plastic bag, a paper bag. But in September of 2023, LCBO was directed to remove paper bags and to go bagless, instructing customers to bring their own reusable bags, as a bag would not be provided. And remember, these were paper bags. They were not plastic. So Premier Ford says he wants immediate steps taken to reverse the reusable bag policy. Premier Ford says, at a time when many Ontario families are already struggling, every additional expense counts. That includes charging customers for reusable bags instead of the free paper bags that the LCBO previously offered. This change has left people stuck openly carrying alcohol in public while leaving an LCBO store. Now, this may seem a bit flippant, and it may seem like it's not really a big deal for some, but people would be surprised at how much of a sticking point banning paper bags really is because of the convenience factor. It's the tangible thing that everybody feels when they go to the LCBO. There's no bags, so you either bring your own or you purchase a reusable bag. Now, we've been seeing this across North America, in jurisdictions everywhere. Now, we've been seeing this across North America in our grocery stores and convenience stores, etc., that have eliminated plastic bags. And someone could argue that eliminating plastic bags is a good thing, although I'll get to that in a second. The LCBO always provided you with a paper bag. So where was the argument there? Was it that it was treated with a plastic coating for their logo? It just never really made sense. And to me, it indicates the unilateral decisions that are made in the name of climate change that may really not have an impact. And in this case, definitely doesn't seem to make sense. It's a paper bag. It's paper. It's not plastic. But let's say for a second that this was a plastic bag. Let's look at jurisdictions that have had experience with plastic bags. So the scenario is, I'm the grocery store. I ban single-use plastic bags from my grocery chain. I have 20 stores across the country, or hundreds of stores across the country. I'm banning plastic bags from all of them. Instead, bring your reusable bag, or I will provide one for you. Our company will provide one for you for a couple bucks or $1 or whatever the cost is. Okay, so interestingly enough, New Jersey, the state of New Jersey, the bag ban backfires, according to New Survey. The New Jersey bag ban, which was implemented to protect the environment, has left residents with piles of unused, reusable plastic bags. However, Plastic Free Inc. foresaw this issue and began cooking up a solution. Okay. It's left residents with a pile of unused bags. Now, to put this into perspective, the ban in New Jersey led to a 3-fold increase in plastic consumption for grocery bags due to the heavy-duty polypropylene bags. Polypropylene uses about 15 times more plastic than polyethylene bags. The shift to polypropylene bags, try to say that 10 times fast, which are not widely recycled in the United States and typically do not contain recycled materials, that's your reusable bags, everyone, resulted in a notable environmental impact, including a 500% increase in greenhouse gas emissions compared to their production in 2015. The policy aimed to reduce plastic waste, but it resulted in unintended consequences. such as an increase in the accumulation of reusable bags by consumers, which were later discarded after a few uses due to the concerns about bacteria and the hassle of cleaning them. Only a small fraction of these heavy-duty reusable bags are used enough times to offset their additional environmental impact. So, it's not enough for governments to implement a plastic bag ban, encourage you to use a reusable bag, and say, well, we're diverting so much plastic out of our oceans and out of our waste and landfills, etc. Certainly, there's a benefit to that. There's no denying that. But they're shifting to polypropylene bags, which are not at all broken down into the environment at any more rapid pace than polyethylene. And on top of that, they use much more chemicals and plastics to actually make polypropylene bags. Very interesting. And the last thing on this, which is, again, very important, is we have to remember about recycling. And the OECD has let us know the torment of recycling. Globally, only 9% of plastic waste is recycled. 9%, folks, while 22% is mismanaged. If we look at this, Canada is actually pretty low on the mismanaged and uncollected litter at 7%. But if we look at, China, 27%, India, 46%, Africa, other Africa, I'm not sure how many countries that includes, 64%, Asia, 45%, Eurasia, what is that, 40%? We're talking drops in the bucket, Canada, drops in the bucket, United States. Oh, this is something that more and more people really need to think about. Plastic pollution is growing relentlessly as waste management and recycling is falling short. That is the title of the OECD report, and there's a lot more research coming out on recycling and how it's really not effective. The CBC also surprisingly talked about recycling and how it was pretty much a lie. I'll find that article for you right now. Here we go. This is from the CBC, and I was surprised that they actually put this out. Recycling was a lie, a big lie, to sell more plastic, industry experts say. Less than 10% of plastics, as we've discussed, have been recycled. This is back in 2020, so this is, during the pandemic. Last year, Canada was working on banning single-use plastics, which was initially sidelined by the pandemic. Interesting. Banning single-use plastic was initially done, but sidelined by the pandemic. Announced that many single-use plastics will be banned by the end of 2021. Our single-use plastic use increased by up to 300% as people tossed their personal protective equipment and stopped using reusable bags. Yeah, you throw in pandemic where they're telling us to stay home and to sanitize everything. Guess what? Our single-use plastic is going to go through the roof. Now, I don't mean to make light of this. I don't. But we have to talk about this issue because it's so important. Right before the pandemic, I remember this like it was yesterday. Do you remember life before the pandemic? It's sometimes hard to remember life before the pandemic, but I remember there was this strong push for plastic bag bans. Sorry, not plastic bag, single-use plastic bans. Starbucks, Tim Hortons, everything was switching to like wooden spoons and wooden straws, et cetera, et cetera. And I just thought, this is madness. Like, this is absolute madness. I mean, what impact is this really having? And of course, single-use plastics are terrible. I'm not saying that they're like amazing, but at the same time, they do provide that level of convenience. Let me tell you something. Anyone who's worked in retail or at a coffee shop or in janitorial services, I've never worked in janitorial services, but anyone who's just generally worked with the public, there are varying levels of personal hygiene that people engage in, which lends itself to single-use plastics. Like, I would rather my straw be wrapped in single-use plastic, then trust that someone else didn't touch it. I mean, it's madness to me to think that, we've made these policy decisions that clearly aren't having the intended outcomes that we wanted. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't try. I mean, we tried, but at this point, I think it's clear that single-use plastic bag bans are probably most likely shifting the usage of more harsher uh, uh, to the environment to the environment bags that can cause greater damage. And I just think that I don't mean to smile and smirk in like a condescending way, but I just find this obtuse that our policy professionals aren't thinking about these issues. They must. So to everybody out there who's championing bans, let's fundamentally look at the research and what research is coming out on the impact this is truly having in our communities. The lesser of two evils is a polyethylene bag versus a polypropylene bag. And I think that we have to be more mindful of that. But again, more research needs to be done to know the impact writ large. I'd love to know that more. There is research coming out of China about its plastic bag bans. China's been experimenting with plastic bag bans, I think, since the 1990s. But they've seen a dramatic increase in plastic usage during the pandemic and other global events. But anyways, just want to highlight that to you. I still don't fully understand why the LCBO got rid of paper bags. They were paper bags. But I'd love to know what you think. Let me know in the comment section below.